I have all this stuff. Not what I'm looking for.
You know how some projects just flows through the entire process and everything goes smoothly?
Good spot for interviewing.
Your vision just comes out in the other end and everything is just perfect all the way along.
So we'll have to change cameras in the middle of the shoot, which is not optimal.
This project was not like that. There's so much to uncover here. Are you ready? This is the story of me producing the Yudelele film. A film I'm very pleased with. I like the result, I really like the film and how it turned out. But the process of getting there was really hard this time. I will go through the idea, the production, the post-production and what I learned in this process. So stick with me and let's do this. When I first heard about Yudelele, I knew I had to make a film about this.
Yeah, just like you said before.
That's the vision, that's the dream I have. Like, one day these people will know this Yudelele from Indonesia.
The pitch was simple. An Indonesian guy who lives in Ubud, Bali, who makes small guitars that you can bring along when you're traveling. Who is he? How did he come up with this idea? And what drives him to keep doing it? That's what I wanted to find out. So back in December, I reached out to Yudelele, first on email. So it's Saturday morning and the email I sent to Yudelele 2 days ago just bounced. Then on Instagram. Instagram didn't work either. But I tried following the WhatsApp link and I just got word from Yude at Yudelele in Bali and we're gonna make a film. We started talking, Yude told me his whole story and I got so excited about making this film and so did he. We also planned going to Guitar Village in Java where the instruments are built. This is a village completely consisting of people making guitars for a living. It's amazing. Fast forward to January. Me and MIRA are in Bali and it's time to plan the shooting of this film. I realized that I need some help and also someone to shoot behind the scenes footage for this film when we're doing this project. So I reached out to my Lost Creator Academy community. Is there anyone in Bali who would like to join me in Ubud? And luckily, a guy called Maximilian ended up answering and said, I want to do it. And that's just fantastic how this community supports creators in this way. So when we're trying to decide on the shooting date, we plan to stay in Ubud for a couple of nights and we expect to be shooting the film on the Sunday.
We are now in Ubud and waiting for Yude to answer if there is a time available where it can be filmed and interviewed. Originally we thought we would film today, Monday, or yesterday, Sunday, but apparently he's stuck in Gili Travangan, waiting for both parts. We're hoping for tomorrow, Tuesday morning now.
Monday night we go out for a drink with Yude and we actually meet him for the first time and he's such a charismatic person.
Where are we? What's happening?
What's happening? This is the market. This is where the locals are, where the Balinese, the 16 days that you're in Bali you haven't seen. This is the place.
Yeah. It's amazing. Thank you for showing us.
He never stops talking and he has so many stories to tell and his life is just full of stuff that he's experienced that he wants to share. And the feeling both me and MIRA are getting is that this guy really needs to be on camera and it's gonna be a walk in the park to get him to say everything that we want to say because he's just an amazingly charming guy who never stops smiling. And his love for music is just out of this world. On Tuesday morning, we meet up with Maximilian in a cafe next to the Yudelele shop in Ubud. We have breakfast and we started planning the whole thing. And we start shooting. We record him while he's playing and it's beautiful. That's beautiful. Can you play it again?
Oh, it's too bright.
Beautiful shot, but the lens is a bit too tight. I don't know what to do yet, but I'll figure it out. Wanna see?
And then we decide to go to his house to do the actual interview. And he says it's only 15 minutes car ride to get there. But never trust Bali traffic. It would be 15 minutes in perfect traffic, but the traffic in Bali is never perfect.
So where are we going now?
We're going to where I live.
Yeah.
In Bali. Place called Santa Madala.
I think it takes 1 hour for us to get there, and it's the most incredible place ever, so it's the perfect setting for this interview. We set it up in his living room with the jungle as a backdrop.
Straight into the camera.
That's really cool, man. I like that.
Suddenly he tells us that he's very nervous to be on camera, and this comes as a big surprise and almost a shock to me, because this is the last thing I would expect from this guy, because he is so outgoing and full of stories. We set up the interview and I explained that he's supposed to look at me like we're having a conversation and not look into the camera like this. Just talk naturally.
Yeah. Just be you.
But nothing is naturally about being set up on a chair somewhere with a camera on a tripod and everybody looking at you and listening to what you're saying. I know that feeling. It's a hard place to be in if you're not used to it.
That wasn't really good feeling either, because then what am I gonna do? I need to play some music, you know.
We keep doing the interview, and this is where things start going wrong. When he starts softening up and getting used to being on camera and being interviewed like this, the red Komodo suddenly says,
Oh, beautiful. We'll take a little break now. Okay, that's okay.
and this is one of the first technical mistakes that I make on this shooting day. I record our interview in red raw medium quality, which fills up a 0.5 terabyte memory card in 40 minutes. So after 40 minutes, this card was full.
So I have to offload media here in Paradise.
Okay, small break. I'll just offload this card into the computer and then we continue the interview.
I have all this stuff. Not what I'm looking for. This sucks because I forgot to bring the memory card reader here. So I have the computer, I have the memory cards, but I cannot offload it.
So next thing that happens is that I'm swapping the card to the ones we used in the shop in the morning. But it turns out this card was not formatted before we started shooting. So it has a lot of old material on it and it's almost full as well. This is where I learned that the red Komodo does not have a function within its own software to delete single clips. You can either format the card or you can do nothing at all. There's no way of selecting a clip and say delete. So I'm stuck with having 2 memory cards full and there's no way that we can continue shooting with this camera. And that makes everybody on the team a bit more nervous and we have to figure out a solution, and that makes Yude even more nervous. So we just have to bring back the order and make everyone breathe again.
So we'll have to change cameras in the middle of the shoot, which is not optimal.
So what we do is we switch the camera to the Canon R5, which I also brought along luckily. And we set up this camera in a different spot in his living room, more comfortable place in a sofa. And we switch from me doing the interviewing to MIRA doing the interviewing, because they have better chemistry and they have an easier time getting the conversation flowing.
Maybe Mira can do the talking.
This is not a guitar, this is a Yudelele.
That is true, sorry. That's my bad, actually.
I'm just making a little tiny dot, and hopefully this tiny dot are making a wide impact.
And this works pretty good until the R5 overheats, which I've talked about a lot before. And this is only my fault because I upgraded the firmware without checking that there was a setting that you need to switch on to allow it to become warmer than it usually is set to. So it overheats and it shuts down and we have to chuck it into the refrigerator and wait for 5 minutes and then take it out again and continue shooting. So when the camera is back up and running again, we finish the interview and then Yude is completely spent. There's no more energy left. And he says, guys, you have to go now. I have another appointment at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever it was, and I need to rest before that, which I totally understand. The only problem is that we haven't shot any B-roll yet. We have a few clips from the store in the morning and we have Yude playing the Yudelele. And this gives me a very unsatisfied feeling when we go in the taxi back to Ubud. Am I going to be able to make a film out of this? It's definitely not the way I intended to feel when I was going back after this long shooting day. And then we had the trip to Java that we planned out when we had our initial talk to visit the production place in the guitar village. I really wanted to make this trip and I really wanted to capture this content.
Are they expecting us in our village on Thursday?
I will now.
Yeah, or is it possible to change the dates?
But it turns out it's a 3-day round trip to go there to do this, and me and MIRA only have 1 week left in Bali, which makes it a little bit hard to squeeze in. It's unfortunate because I really wanted to go, but I decide that the story will have to do without the production part. While we're still in Bali, I tried to start editing this, put the interviews up on the timeline, and I start my usual process of cutting out the bad parts. And there's no way I can focus on this thing. I don't know if it's being in Bali and only having a week left, or if it's just the experience of the production that I take with me into the post-production, but I cannot focus on doing this. So I just decided to leave it until I get home. And when I get home, I start again, I try again. And the process is just so much harder with this one than anything I've ever experienced before. And I think that it's because my vision of what this film was supposed to be is not possible to make from the material that I have on my timeline. For the first couple of weeks I tried to make it into my vision with the material on my timeline. That does not make it possible to do that. And this just creates a bad feedback loop in my head, and I don't enjoy the process. So I take a little break from it, and then I start again, and I manage to get the timeline up and ready, and I add Yude's music to it.
These instruments I call Yudelele. It's in between the guitar and the ukulele. It's called Yudelele.
That's where I start getting the feeling of what this film could be. When I put him playing the Yudelele, singing, and then adding the voice on top of that. Music does so much. I made 6 or 7 versions of the film before I found one that I was happy with and that everyone that I showed it to seemed happy with. Some people would say, let there be more of his music playing parts. We need to see more of that. And some other people say, take away some of the music and let him talk more instead. When I show my work to someone, I usually don't listen that much to what they say, but I look at them while they watch the film, and if they take up their phone and start checking Instagram while they're watching it, I know that at that point I need to make a change. And if they start talking over it or start asking questions while watching it, I know that I have to make this clearer. And it goes on like that. So 6 or 7 versions until I was happy. And then I just decided to release it on the same day because there was no way I was gonna revisit this process. But I'm super happy with the result. What really saved me during the post-production process, where I had no B-roll whatsoever to use, was the fact that Maxi was with us this day and shoot a whole lot of behind the scenes for this film. And I actually used a lot of it in the actual film. And this was a new thing to me because before I've been stuck in my own mindset, like, no, this is the film about someone else. My face should not be in that film. It should be about this person, and that's isolated. Now I had to put stuff in with my face in it, and I had to use the behind the scenes shots in the actual film. And I think that this added an extra dimension to the film that I couldn't have planned in advance. You get to see snippets of how it looked behind the scenes, how we jerry-rigged the makeshift reflector using sofa cushions to make it stay up. So thank you a million times over, Maxi, for coming out on this shoot with us, because without your shots, it would not have become what it is. I'm super grateful for the work that you did, so let's work again soon. There's so many learnings on this one, but the key ones. Number 1, even when you have planned, things go wrong. I learn this every time I plan a project, and when I don't plan, I learn that I have to plan. Because when you have a plan, you can always come back to it when things go wrong, and it creates less chaos. Number 2, know your gear. I brought too much gear on this trip, especially for making this film. If I had only brought gear that I actually knew about and I had used a lot before, I wouldn't have ended up with things going wrong all the time and having to switch camera in between and filling up the memory cards or whatnot. Use the gear that you know. When you see someone unpacking their gear from the box on set, then you know that this is a recipe for trouble. Number 3, The jungle makes a lot of noise. Just like the ocean, you don't really hear it when you're in it because you get so used to hearing it.
You hear the rivers there? So it works with the mic.
But when you listen to the sound recorded in a microphone, then you will hear that it makes a lot of noise. So use a good lavalier mic, like this one I have here that's giving me a V-neck on this t-shirt. I use this one on Yude, which is not as good as this one. Number 4, always follow the story. Don't get stuck in your own vision like I did. Because if you just follow the story, use what you have, the story will reveal and uncover itself, and it will be beautiful. So just have trust in the process. So that's it for today. It was a painful process, but I think the result turned out really good. If you haven't watched the film about Yude, you should do it now. And if you already watched the film about Yude, you should do it again after watching this film, because that will give you a whole new perspective on it. And you will see it with new eyes, and you will see all my mistakes and how I corrected them and how it still turned out pretty good. And also, if you like this and you are still here, please consider subscribing to my channel. It means so much to me with the support that I get and all the comments that I get, I try to respond to, and the feedback is what keeps me going and makes me want to create the next project. And I hope to share some more projects with you soon that I'm planning. It's gonna be exciting times. So stay calm and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. What's happening, Mira?
So many rooms. They're trying to lock me in the basement. Help!